I think a lot of it has to do, Berman, with how the guys from last year's team allowed me to coach them. I think anytime you're trying to make up ground, and I don't even know that that would be the accurate assessment of what it was when I got here. Ground means like you're on top. We were under the ground, and Will Johnston, Christian Byer, Adam, Joey, Malik, all those guys every single day allowed us to do what we believed to be right and to instill the habits that we wanted to be about on and off the floor. I'm thankful that this group of kids are being rewarded, but it speaks to the last group of kids that were not rewarded and their resiliency and their toughness. And I think that the character that that group showed, maybe by osmosis, because that was just the way that it was, and that was the standard that we tried to set. So I think that just standard media questions, you know, what's your goal and how are you going to do and how many games you're going to win. I don't think that that's the right way to go about life. So I don't know if that answers your question. It was a bad question, but I'm used to that.
You guys have a nice lead in Miami. Makes it 10-2 run. They can cut your lead to 6. You guys call timeout. And right after that set, it's a 3 out of timeouts after the 3 minutes possession. What kind of transpired during that timeout to get things?
I don't know. I mean, they're the 6th ranked team in the country for a reason. They won the league for a reason. Extremely experienced. I think Coach Krzyzewski said they were the best team in the league as far as their talent. I don't have the equity to judge anybody else's team, but they're distinctly more talented than we are. And I think that when you're playing any team, particularly a team as good as they are, they're going to go on a run. I think, again, it's really not as if a team is going to go on a run as much as the way to handle it is how are you going to respond to the run. And I thought our response was really good.
How much have you seen Justin grow in these past 5 games? It seems like the lights just turned on in a big way.
He's playing at a very high level. Want to play with as many point guards on the floor as we can. And, you know, just if foul trouble allows us, I think how we've tried to distribute the minutes is, you know, let Devin, Seth, and Five play together. And Devin, you can initiate offense this time when we're running this, and Seth, you initiate it when we're running this, and Five, you initiate it when we're running that. I think everybody continues to grow, continues to mature. I think they're much more aware and comfortable with what we're trying to accomplish on both ends of the floor. I think our staff has continued to grow and mature relative to how much to give them, their ability to comprehend it, their ability to execute it. So Five's fun to coach. Five's really fun to watch if you're a fan. I have to be careful that I don't become a fan of him because he's got little man syndrome, like a lot of guys his size, but I don't know that you can quantify the competitiveness coupled with the IQ that he plays with. He makes the right decision at a very high rate, and he has a skill set to back that up, but it's his IQ that's coming to life more and more.
Same thing. Justin's played baseball, played football. Renee has a football background. You can see his toughness out there tonight. Do you like, I mean, in this age when a lot of people play year-round, do you like guys that have a little bit of renaissance man to them in sports?
Yeah, I think that's important. Don't want to recruit the oldest if we can prevent it. For sure want to recruit the youngest because they've always tried to figure out how they can get the last bowl of cereal before their big brother or sister gets it. And I think the same can be said about playing sports, multiple sports. I don't know, you know, I'm going through a little bit of that with my kids, and my kids will never play in college any sport. But I think that what I've learned from coaching my children and watching other coaches coach my children is they have to learn how to be coached. And so when you're playing a different sport over and over and over, You got to learn how to be coached. You got to learn how to be a teammate. You got to learn how to execute a scouting report. You got to learn, like, he does this good, he does that bad, how can I help? And so I don't know that I necessarily understood that early in my career as an assistant, but as it's evolved, I want as many guys that have been coached by as many people that have played as many sports as possible. And the probability of it probably means that they have a layer of toughness that I think is really important.
Buzz, going into the ACC tournament as a 6th seed, do you guys still take the underdog mentality?
Well, we were picked 14th. What do you think? So if you're picked 14th and you finish 6th, what other mentality should we take? And without sounding like a jerk, if you could Google my story or anything I've been involved with, I'll always be able to answer that question the same way.
Compared to the second half down there, where did the defensive improvement come from against the Hurricanes this time?
Well, I thought in the first half, even though it was a rock fight, we were ahead at halftime, and I thought some of the things that we were trying to do defensively were good. We turned the ball over 5 times in the second half in the first 5 minutes. And no matter what you're trying to accomplish defensively, teams as talented as they are, if they're playing in a broken floor, they're going to score. And so I thought we did a better job today of our offense helping our defense. Very rarely did we take a surprised shot. Seth probably gets 1 per half, which restricts the other guys from being able to take a bad shot. But I think that we didn't play in a broken floor as often. And I think when they went on their run, it was because they were scoring in the broken floor.
Coach, you showed plenty of emotion after the game.
I apologize for that.
Nothing wrong with that in my book. What is this?
I didn't dance.
No, you didn't. No, that's all right.
That's an improvement.
I know you don't like questions.
The game was over.
I know you don't like questions like these, but how much fun has this year been for you, and to see the progress of this team? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is I've learned a lot from the kids. And the other thing that I've learned is by watching the kids, I've learned to be a better parent. Because if those kids turned out that way, obviously their parents were doing a really good job. And so I think not only have I become a better coach by learning from them, but I've become a better parent by coaching them. And so that's been fulfilling. I think that what has been as good as I've ever seen, particularly as a head coach, is the spirit and love that they have for one another and how they play for one another. That's a rarefied air that you find that anymore in the millennial generation, that you can get everybody in one room and everybody's pulling in the same direction. And again, that speaks to the character of the kids, that speaks to the character of the managers, the character of the coaches, that everybody in there, regardless of their title, are pulling. How can we get a little bit better? How can we get a little bit better? And that's really hard. May not happen again in my career, to be able to get the recipe exactly the way that it is. So, yeah, it's been very fulfilling, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm very humbled and thankful by it all.
I know Zach's game was obviously very young when he was at South Florida. It was developing. But when you guys took sort of a mutual interest, you wanted to come here, you guys were interested in him, was there anything at all that showed you that this kind of season was about to come out of him in a couple of years?
I like guys that most people think are no good. That means you can coach them however you want. And typically I'm best coaching guys that allow me to coach them however I want. I don't think that Zach or anybody could have thought that he would do what he's done. But, you know, Zach never came here until the first day of school. Shane Henry's going to graduate in May. And the first time that I met Shane was the second day Rock was a full-time employee at Virginia Tech. And I met him on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in his coach's office, and made him cry. And that's not to be silly. I did it on purpose. And there's something about junior college kids, because I'm a junior college kid. You can go down the line. Shane never visited here. Shane didn't come to summer school here. First day that he saw Blacksburg was the first day of the fall semester. And that's the same thing with Zach. And, when you look at the team, I wasn't here when Bibbs signed. I wasn't here when Jalen signed. And Coach Johnson should receive credit for that, not me. Obviously, I was here with Seth. I wasn't here with Devin. I wasn't here with Greg. We did officially visit Chris and KJ. We did officially visit Five. Matt Galloway was a manager last year. So, it's just a collection of scraps all kind of thrown together, and we've learned how to make it into a meal. And so I don't know that anybody in that mix could have thought that this would happen. But I don't want to limit. It could be over. We may not win again. And I've said that as frequently as I've said anything else. That's how fragile all of it is. But I don't want to limit that mixture, because maybe there's something bigger in store. Maybe there's not. But I don't. We just need to get better.
As the game ends, crowd standing, applauding, standing. Do you get a sense for how hungry they were for this? Was there ever any part of you that wondered if they were, if they were this hungry for this, or wanted this as much as you guys did as a team?
Well, I think there was a 12-year period when Coach Beamer was here that they sold every seat in Lane Stadium. So I think the history speaks to there's people that will support you. I think our marketing staff has done an incredible job of being creative on how can we get the students to the game, how can we get the season tickets that have been sold that they're not showing up at the rate we want them to, how can we get them, how can we recruit some more people to come that maybe will turn into season ticket holders. I understand, is it the chicken or the egg? Well, if we win, they'll come. But this is not Field of Dreams. This is not a movie. This is real life. And so it takes the collective effort of everybody. I think people that are basketball fans appreciate teams that play hard. I think they appreciate teams that try to play the right way. And the more access that you can give them, like if you come to our shoot-around, we have a club full of old people, and I don't even know their name. I'm just like, hey, you can come, and if we win, you get to come again, but when you come again, bring another old couple. And that's the old people that are sitting up there with their old-timey headphones on listening to the radio show after the game. Man, those people are crying. They're so excited. They care so much, and they've been watching it longer than I've been alive. And that's something they'll be talking about in the spring and the summer before football gets ramped up again. That's fun. That's cool. And I apologize